As she said, my name is Charleston Girley. I'm not originally from here. I'm originally from Pine Bluff, Arkansas, and I came here in 2011. And what I was chasing in 2011 is still something that I'm chasing today, and that's a dream. I had a dream, and one of my dreams was to become a Division I football player. But I made some decisions in my life. I couldn't control my emotions, and so the path that I thought that I originally was going to take, I did not take that path. And so I got into a fight my senior year in high school, and I was having scholarships, people looking at me, but because of that decision that I made, I ended up losing all those scholarships. I got suspended, and so I ended up walking on. Now, the thing about it is that when you have a dream, if you believe enough in that dream, you never let anything destroy it or take it away. And so as I was thinking about just kind of some of the things that I want to talk to you all about on tonight, when I came in 2011, I never knew exactly what I would do, but I knew that I wanted to complete the dream. I wanted to chase the dream. And in that time, I ended up winning these rings, 4 conference championships in 5 years. But the crazy thing is that no matter what I say to this ring, no matter what I do, these rings, they do not talk back to me. And the thing that I realized is that they were but for a moment, okay? I was a winner in that moment. Now, it doesn't remove the title once the moment passes. But the thing about it is that now once the moment happens, I got to keep going. So when I was doing my research and I was reflecting on you all season on last year, you ended the season what we would consider the promise. So the promise was the Sun Belt Conference Championship. That was the promise. But then when you look back on it, you realize that there was a process. So most of the time when speakers, they get in front of you, they want to come up with like a title. So if I had to say the title of my speech tonight, it's called The Process. And so as I was reflecting over the things that you had, the things that you accomplished, what happens after you accomplish the promise? The process starts over again. And so one of the things that I want to talk to you about is that you got to have a but then moment. When you start your new process, you got to have a but then moment. But what is a but then moment? That means I got to go back to one of the things that y'all talked about last year. One of the things Coach Dad says, she had a but God moment. A but God moment is the moment that you recognize God, the moment that you experience God. A lot of times we read our Bibles and we read about the different miracles that happen in the Bible. Sometimes people will get up, they'll tell their testimony, and then you'll hear about the miracle that happened in their lives. But what happens when you are the miracle? You see, when I reflected over your season last year, I realized that you all were the miracle. But what do you do after the miracle happened? You got to have a but then moment. When I go to the Bible, there's a brother by the name of Daniel. And in Daniel chapter 10, Daniel had a dream. But you see, Daniel had already experienced God way before chapter 10. He had experienced God in the fiery furnace. He had experienced God in the lion's den. So he already knew who God was. He already experienced the miracle. So you know who God is. You had your miracle last year, but as he transitioned to chapter 10, he had a dream that he could not decipher. And so in that moment, he prayed to God. And the minute that he prayed, God sent an angel to deliver the message on what that dream meant. But see, we wrestle not against flesh and blood. There's a spiritual realm where spiritual warfare goes on. And so that angel got caught up in spiritual warfare and was unable to deliver the message to Daniel. But then, when you read it, there's a little phrase that says, but then God sent Michael, the archangel. And so Michael comes, he defeats the enemy in the spiritual realm, and that angel is now able to go to Daniel and deliver the message. And he said, when you prayed that prayer, God heard you the first time. And I was on my way, but I got caught up. And that's a word within itself that every delay is not a denial. So as you're going through your season, it may feel like a delay. It may feel like things aren't happening, but trust and know that all you need is a but then moment for God to send an angel on your behalf. And in that but then moment, that's where a transition happens. So when I'm thinking about a but then moment, I'm thinking about everything that you all accomplished last year. Your but then moment is the transition to the next. Last year you were good. The transition is to great. We're going from good to great. And so that's what you got to have. That's the mentality that you got to have when we're in the process. So we got a but then moment. But the second thing, you might have to attack differently. If I go back to the Bible, there's another brother, a great brother by the name of David. And in 2 Samuel chapter 5, David was facing an enemy. Just like you all were facing on last year, there were many enemies, many teams that you defeated on last year. And so there was an enemy in his way, and he went to God, and God said, hey, I want you to attack head on. And so when he attacked head on, when he followed the instructions, when he followed the game plan, he was able to defeat the enemy. But the thing about it is that sometimes that enemy comes back. The teams that you defeated on last year, they're going to circle back. They're going to circle the block. What do y'all normally say? They're going to get it back in blood, or at least try. And so when David defeated their enemy, they ended up coming back. And so David went back to God, and he said, God, how do I defeat them a second time? They know who I am. They know my tendencies. They know my game plan. You see, last year you were hunting, but now you're the hunted. But that doesn't mean that you still can't defeat the enemy. So he went back to God, and God said, this time I want you to circle around and go behind. So the strategy may change. If I was the leading scorer last year, I might have to switch up my role this year. If I was, doing one thing this way, or my skill set was this way, maybe I have to switch it up just a little bit. And the thing that you can't allow to get in the way is pride. What if David had pride? What if he said, you know what, I attacked them this way last year, I'm going to do the same thing. He would have lost the battle. But he humbled himself and he listened. He went back to the source. He went back to God, got a new set of instructions, and he was so humble that he followed suit. He went behind and he defeated them for a second time. So in your process, the season is long. It's going to be many different moments. You got to have a but then moment. You got to be willing and able to attack differently, be able to switch it up. But the third, you got to stay hungry. When I came in 2011 and we won our first conference championship, whatever we put on our plate that season, we ate it up. But then we were never still satisfied. Are you satisfied by what you accomplished last year? Is the hunger that you felt last year, is it filled? Because if it's filled, then this season is null and void. But is there a greater step that you can take? You see, it's not about the ring or at least one championship for us. And for you all, it's about legacy. When we say going from good to great, anybody can win a trophy in the moment. But what do you do when you know that there's a greater path, there's a greater story to be told, and now we go from good, creating a championship, to now creating a legacy? You already were the first. And so if you were the first, there's more to go. And so when you fill your plate, now you got to ask yourself, what's more? What's next? What can I do better? What can we do more? And in my case, we wanted to be back-to-back champs. And we did that. And then after that, we went and we wanted to three-peat, and we did that. But the thing is, and this is no shot at the coaches, in my time, we had 4 different head coaches in 4 years. So it was never about the coaches. It was about who we were as a team, who we were as players, what culture that we wanted to create. And every year we stayed hungry. So we got a but then moment. We got to be able to attack differently. We got to be able to stay hungry. And the last thing that we got to do, we got to dream again. When I was thinking about putting this together, one of the mottos that's on the back of my shirt is keep dreaming. Because in 2011, when I came up here and I was able to accomplish one of my dreams, I realized that there was more for me, that there was a greater path for me, that there was more to life than just one dream. And so when I was thinking about keep dreaming, that means I got to go back, I got to do it again. But the other part about that is that I realized when I accomplished my dream, now I set forth a path. And when I set forth a path, now I'm being a trailblazer. And I realized that maybe there was just a little young boy in the stands dreaming to be in my position one day, dreaming to have what I have. And so I owed it to him. I owed it to my future self in order to dream again. Because once you dream again, you create that path. And now there's a little girl in the stands dreaming that she can do exactly what you're doing, being motivated, being inspired by every single thing that you do. But it's the willingness and this desire to be able to dream again. Now, tomorrow night is you all's opener. And when I think about it, you'll be presented with your rings, you'll be presented with the banners, all of that. And at the end of it is but for a moment. And then the process starts over. And so the one thing that I want you to do on tomorrow night, I don't want you to chase the trophy. As I said, the trophies, they come and go. But there's one thing that I want you to chase when your season starts on tomorrow, and that is I want you to chase the testimony. If you chase the testimony is actually your story. And if you go after it, now your story is being told. And if you're chasing your story, you're working with the greatest author there is. And he allows you the ability to be the co-author. And at the end of the season, at the end of your process, I want you to be able to say that we earned our right into the Hall of Fame. But I'm not talking about the world's Hall of Fame. I'm talking about God's Hall of Fame. Remember I said, when he blesses you with that gift, when he blesses you with that talent, you owe it back to him. So it's never about the rings. It's never, but you're on a platform. So now your faith is on display. Now your obedience is on display. And so if I do what I'm supposed to do, if God is giving me this moment, if God has provided me this, I got to be able to please him. It's not about my coaches. It's not about my parents. If at the end of the season, if I can say that I did my best, if I put my faith on display, then I'll make sure that I please God at the end. There's a scripture that says, Psalms 37, verse 4, delight yourself in the Lord, and he will give you the desires of your heart. If I chase after God, not the rings, not the trophy, but if I chase after God, everything else will come. I remember a couple years ago, I was chasing money, and I made $100,000. And in about 6 months, I lost all of it because my intentions were wrong. My intentions weren't pure. But when I put my intentions on God and I put my focus on him, everything that started to happen in my life started to come. When I was chasing those rings, I lost different moments. But when I put my focus on God and I told God, hey, God, this is my dream. This is what I want to accomplish. But I want to make sure I put you first. The playing time happened for me. The success for the team happened for me. So I want you all to be able to not chase the trophy, but be able to chase the testimony. And at the end of it all, I still want y'all to be able to dream again and have a successful season. So I wish you all nothing but the best going forward, and know that you're here for a purpose. You are here for a reason. One of the things is that my tattoos, they tell my story. They tell my story of everything that I've been through in life. But out of all the tattoos that's on my body, there's one in particular. It's small, but it's probably the most powerful. And it says, the one. What I mean by that is that every family has the one. Every family has somebody that breaks generational curses, that extends the family legacy further than it's ever been taken. And for me in my life and me and my family, I've deemed myself the one. So my question to you, for your family, are you the one? For this team, are you all the one? You've already accomplished one championship. But now you have the position, you have the opportunity to tell the greatest story ever told. I don't want you all to be just the top women's athletics. I want you to be the top athletics here in Arkansas State history. And you're on that path. So it's not about championships, but it's about legacy. And everything that you do, from practice to school, every little thing matters. But if you can stay on that path, if you can deny this, and follow what God is telling you, follow what your coaches are telling you, I promise you everything will happen the way it's supposed to. So I appreciate y'all.
Do all things through Christ Jesus. You got to be able to dream again. After you accomplish that one dream, you owe it to yourself, you owe it to God, you owe it to your family to be able to do it again, to dream again. But when you dream again, you're not only dreaming for yourself, somebody else is being